Now starting.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Um, Today we're going to be doing a product showcase for you on the Building Pathways for Infrastructure Jobs grant data management system that we have built on top of our flagship product, AGS Prime. So it'll be a real quick webinar. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on AGS, and then I'm going to turn it over to Susan, and she's going to do dive right into the tool in a live demo and show you around what the tool looks like a little bit. And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end for questions. But if any questions come up while we're talking, go ahead and put those in the chat, and we'll try to get those answered as soon as we can. The recording and the slides will be sent to you via email sometime probably later this week. Once we get all that processed and ready to go, we'll send it out to everybody that had registered. So I'm the talking head, John Hawkins. I'm the AVP of Partnerships and Business Development, and I'm joined by my colleague, Susan, who is our Vice President of Sales and Marketing. She's going to be doing the live demo for you. So welcome. So AGS Data Systems is a software development company. We're a boutique software development company, I should say. We're a national leader in integrated web-based data collection and management systems with a ton of experience for the last 25 years, working with 40 plus federal grants and other grant programs, whether those be DOL, EDA, ARPA grants, and other grants. Just a small handful of some of the grants that we currently support customers with with the logos there on the right. And all this experience with all these different grants, we've amassed a level of expertise with Pearl data compliance and WIPS reporting, which is a big reason why folks subscribe to our tools, is we make the WIPS reporting process like way easy, like 3 clicks easy. So we on the right hand side, you'll see just a handful of some of our current customers. So we've supported 200 plus organizations over the years, and that is equated to millions and millions of participant records through the various tools that we've spun up. Our customers include community colleges, universities, foundations, training orgs, workforce agencies, healthcare systems, social systems, pretty much anybody that has a need for collecting unique individual data and managing that data and reporting on it is who we serve. So as teased at the very beginning, the system that we're going to be looking at today is for the Building Pathways to Infrastructure Jobs grant. That's a data management and reporting application or a system that lives on top of AGS Prime, which is our flagship product. Prime is a no-code, it's a web-based application development platform. So on top of Prime, we spin up any number of different applications, whether it be an employer CRM, grant management tool, a way to track people that walk up to your booth at a job fair, anything you can think of that you would track data, you can build that on top of AGS Prime. And then with Prime, you can easily and quickly generate performance outcomes reports, WIPS reports, any number of different reports or dashboards. It is quite complex, but easy to use, the system. Nonetheless, we still provide a ton of support for all of our customers. So we do ongoing monthly user group webinars and training announcements. There's tons of training documents and videos, unlimited admin training and tech support. You literally get Susan and my email address and phone number. Anytime you have questions about anything, you can reach out to us and we help you in that fashion. And then for our template subscribers, or the grant tool, like the one that we're going to take a look at today, we call that a template. We monitor any changes to federal reporting requirements for that particular grant program, and we we go ahead and make all of those updates on the back end so that you all as customers never have to worry about your tool falling out of compliance when it comes to the specific reporting requirements or data collection requirements, so on and so forth for those systems. We go ahead and monitor and keep that up to date through the life of the subscription for your grant program. And now I have barraged you with words, so I'm going to turn it over to Susan, and she's going to barrage you with images.
Well, thank you for that. If anybody has any questions, as John said, please use the chat feature to chat those in. And we should have a couple of minutes here at the very end to answer additional questions that might come up. So I'm going to swizzle over to this template. So these are, when we say use the word template, we mean pre-built, compliant, per the Pearl for this grant, applications that include the fields, the business rules, the aliasing, the data validation requirements, everything that is required in order for you to press the magic button, so to speak, to produce a WIPS report. We have been managing and supporting WIPS-based grants for years and years. We are very much, as John says, Pearl and WIPS subject matter experts, and have a small stable or catalog, if you will, of pre-built templates for a variety of different grants. So looking at the Building Pathways for Infrastructure Jobs, or BP, as I may refer to it today. So what you're seeing here is really just our demo site, a template for us to demo. So there's no actual data here, just sample data. So this is what our actual customers' sites looks like. There's a menu across the top. Make this a little bit bigger maybe. We call these modules. There's a participant management module where all the participant data resides. We'll come back to this. The employer management module where your employer data resides, this integrated CRM as we like to refer to it. There is a self-registration module so that you can expose a self-registration for initial demographics, if you will, to the general public for potential participants that can run through the system. There's an administrative module for the application administrators that we train and support the application administrators as well. Many data entry fields, we refer to those as keywords or drop downs, are managed as catalogs, so it's really easy for users to enter data. They're not keystroking, but they're selecting from lists or picking from lists. And then we have a reports module. So let's just start here as we start digging into this. In Prime, there is always a couple of different categories or types of reports, if you will. We have a handful of canned reports. They're pre-built, they're parameterized, they're pretty, if you will. And we have a series of queries that we have always pre-populate in all of our templates. These are exports that can come out as CSV files or JSON files for the analysts on the call. And then there's a handful of pre-built visual reports, dashboards, perhaps you might think of those. I'm going to go back to reports, and first among equals, right? We need to manage that Pearl data. We need to have an easy way for you to click the button, produce a WIPS report that meets the specifications for WIPS, and you can do that directly out of here. This is what all of our customers do for all of the WIPS-based or Pearl-based grants. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this report. I get a user interface like this that asks you in this pop-up, what's your funding source? Imagine this as BPIJ. What calendar year do you want to run this for? Let's run this for 2024. Let's run this for Q1. For demo purposes, I'm going to include the header. I imagine by now you have all been spending some time poring over the Perl and trying to get some of those fields and or data elements, in your brains and memorized and figuring out what the heck all this data is all about. So I'm going to include the header so you can fields here in this report. And we always give you a data validation report, an error checking report, if you will. So throughout the application, there is built-in business logic for data entry staff to catch bad data entry, so to speak. We don't let people enter data into fields and on forms that break business rules for this grant. We just don't allow it. The save button is not live. But there are a handful of fields for WIPS reporting that are computed. It's not a one-to-one data entry process. So we have a final step, a final check to make sure that the data as it's computing to produce your WIPS report, just to make sure that everything is copacetic. For today, I'm going to say, yes, let's ignore that file for demo purposes and for time. You can include additional fields should you want to for your own analytics. WIPS data is really yummy data, our own internal analytics. But for submitting to the feds, this is defaulted to no. We don't want to include any extra fields for the feds. You can also run this if you're the grant manager for all of your partner organizations. When you're running this for WIPS, we always default it to all. So that's your parameter set. I'm going to click run. Here's my report. Let me cross my fingers and make sure it works in a demo. And sure enough, here's my report. I'll make this a little bigger so it's easier to see. And so again, for those of you who have been memorizing Perl fields, you can see these are the fields across the top. Again, Prime is automatically converting male and female to ones and zeros or whatever the aliasing is behind the scenes, so that we are humans helping humans through this process, and you are no longer bound to having to manage this unruly spreadsheet for not only that one-time initial data, but as people move through the process, their information needs to be updated and statuses need to change. So we take all of that into account in the application. Every time you run your WIPS report, it does a computation across all of those fields. So if you're familiar with WIPS, you know that this grant goes all the way out to column CL. Now there's a lot of fields in this particular WIPS report. We manage all of that for you. So you have now managed your WIPS process in Prime. Boom, you're all done. With this report saved, you will literally toggle over to the Fed's WIP system, use their file upload interface. That's a nice, clean, easy user interface. Upload your file just like we all do with the file upload processes for other applications, and submit your report. And you're done. We also provide for you, and while this is not a report that you need to submit to the feds, we know that we are all project managers, or in some cases, for myself, I'm a crusty old project manager. And I'm going to run this. So the process, the WIPS process is, once you submit your WIPS file and there are no errors, the feds you'll need to validate that report. And once it's validated and you submit that validation email back to the feds, they will send you back this QPR. We strongly believe as project managers and grant managers that you will want to see this data ahead of time, so that you're not waiting to see what it is the feds are going to send back to you. You can run your WIPS report anytime you want to. You can run your QPR report anytime you want to. And as project managers, always know where you are per these performance goals, and that you are never surprised by what the feds send you back based on your WIPS data. So again, it's just project management 101, eliminate surprises, right? So again, we keep the WIPS report and we keep your QPR up to date if and when the feds make changes. Typically, the QPRs don't change very much over the life of a grant. Some of the, in terms of the format, some of the computations might change. We'll keep all of that up to date for you. The last thing I want to show you here in this report is the codebook report. So for the analysts on the call, I'm in my demo site, so I have lots of different code books here. Let me check my code book for I'll grab this one. Close enough. So we provide you the information about how Prime is handling all of the information, every single data element, or DE, right from the Pearl, what the Pearl says about it, and then where does that information reside in Prime. And we expose for you, again, for the analysts, how Prime is handling each field for error checking, for valid values. Everything about every single data element is available here in the code book. So everything is completely exposed for you as you're working with Prime, submitting information to the feds, and wanting to have all of the information about your grant data management tool, in this case Prime, at your fingertips. We want to put you in control of all of this. So everything is here for you in your code book. Additional kinds of reports, let me just kind of run through this really quickly. Some of these nice dashboards. We do provide you with these dashboards, these data visualizations. These are not reports that are required by the feds, excuse me, but they are the kinds of reports that all of our customers love to have for their own analytical purposes, their own storytelling. Share this kind of information with your board, with your colleagues, with additional proposals that you're writing to demonstrate your efficacy and your transparency with how you're managing grants. Share these as augment reports to your quarterly narrative report, which is very popular amongst our customer base, to use these graphical reports as augment reports to your Q&R. Other types of dashboards, and again, these are all here for you as sort of starter visualizations. This report might be coming up a little slow. Excuse me. And then our services dashboard. We want to make sure that it's easy for you to report on the services that in a fashion that helps you as grant managers understand the level of effort that's going into moving a person from point A to point B, B to C, and C to D, and ultimately out the door as a success. But it's all that stuff in the middle that case managers and career coaches and grant managers are really working on, that we want to help you make it easy to track and therefore report on and tell your story. Let me jump over to the participant management. We'll take a quick look at what it looks like to put the data in. Everybody has seen fields and forms before, so I don't think this is really rocket science, but I want to give you a sense of what it looks like, and hopefully you can come away feeling like it's intuitive, it's easy, and that Prime is sort of naturally guiding a case manager through that business process, so that you as grant managers are having the data that you need for your WIPS report being entered into the system, whether direct data entry or an import process. If you have some really large partners, we can talk with you about that as well. but that the data is in the system in a timely fashion and in an accurate fashion for reporting. So really quickly here, we have reviewed participants. I opened up their case folder. So think of it very much as an electronic case management system, right? So this is my electronic case or file cabinet. Where I've gotten up out of my chair, walked over to the file cabinet, opened up the H drawer, pulled out the manila file folder for Holly, Buddy, walked back to my desk and opened up that manila file folder, and I see paper clipped sections or categories, if you will, of different electronic pieces of paper that are just categorized a certain way based on the type of document or data that they are. So everybody starts with a profile, the data required for demographics for this grant. We have the required fields. You see the little asterisks. We have the allowable values that behind the scenes we're transposing with the aliases. We have all of the field help baked directly into the application, directly from the Pearl. So ideally, your staff, and if you're part of a consortium like most of our customers, those satellite offices or partner offices, those staff members don't have to have these hundreds of business rules memorized. We've done everything we can, make the computers do what computers do, right? Provide guidance, and where we have fields like in this employment area, if I say I am unemployed, on form either error checking or messages based on the information that has been entered. In this case, if the person is marked as unemployed, they cannot also be considered underemployed. That breaks the business rule, right? So we may just have clicked the wrong button, or I just asked the question wrong, whatever. So I can change that, and now my save button is live. I can't be unemployed and long-term unemployed and also underemployed. So you get the idea. We have these baked-in error checkings. You can see my save button is now not because I have on-form errors. And we're enrolling them in the grant, keeping track of all these field values. We're keeping track of their training programs or training program, as the case may be, depending on how your grant project is structured. A person can be enrolled in the grant, but then be enrolled so that the grant is funding one or more training programs that are grant funded, and keeping track of the credential or credentials as is appropriate for this grant. You can enter as many trainings as is appropriate for your program and as many credentials as the person attains. And Prime will do the heavy lifting for you for WIPS reporting, that we will only report the 3 trainings and 3 credentials in the correct order and ranking as is defined by the business rules for this grant. But you can enter as much as you want so that you have all the information about level of effort. We're going to keep track of assessments, measurable skills gains, services, and this is where we can track the cost of services should you want to. Many of our customers do. Cost is not reported to the Fed, so you can have other fields added to the forms that are appropriate for your grant if there's some DEI or other types of fields that you're just accustomed to tracking or that you really desire to have available for data entry and your own internal analytics, that those additional fields can be added as well. Cost is a great example. Not reported to the feds. Almost all of our customers keep track of supportive services, and here's a really nice, easy way to do it.
And we'll
If
point
you're,
out real quickly, we're almost to the point where we got to start having questions, Susan. But I do want to point out, can you go back into the trainings or any one of those, really, the training program record? Anywhere, Susan showed you at the very beginning in the admin section, there was all the different catalogs that she was referring to. So anywhere we can for where there needs to be a field input or a data capture, if it's a categorical option or a list of programs for somebody to choose from, or a list of responses, we build those catalogs out, or let you build those catalogs out, so that the staff person that's doing the entry, ideally we eliminate keystrokes altogether, because keystrokes is where, when somebody's typing something in, that's where spelling errors happen, punctuation errors happen. That's where data can get wonky. So anywhere that's possible, the Prime is set up such that it's going to be, they don't have to take their hand off the mouse for the most part.
Excellent. Thank you, John.
Yep.
I'm going to show one last thing, and then we're going to turn it over for questions. The last thing I do want to show off is this self-registration module, and I have a separate tab here to show that. Self-registration is heavily utilized by most of our customers across almost all of our grants, really, so that you can have this form embedded as an iframe in your website. You can have links into your website, your partner organization's website. These can be emailed off or set up as QR codes, a wide variety of ways to make this initial data entry form accessible to your potential participant pool, right? Say that 3 times. And so this form is really designed to look very similar to the staff side, but it's exposed to the general public, where you'll have your own language here, consent language, attachments, of course your own logo, and then all of that data that comes in from the web sits over here in a view called Not Yet Reviewed, and the process for reviewing incoming data is managed. We review the data, and now record will show up in my reviewed participants view. So just kind of looks like over here on the self-registration side. Let me go ahead and switch back, and I think we may have a question.
That was just me encouraging people to send us
Oh,
questions.
that's John's comment. Pardon me. Okay.
Well, we're right up against time, so if anybody has a question, we'll stick around for a few minutes, and you can ask your question. Or if you're shy, feel free to email Susan or myself, and we'd be happy to answer questions. If you're interested, let us know, and we can do a one-on-one meeting with you and your team, and really kind of get in the weeds and go in more detail with the tool here, and answer any questions that you have in that regard as well. So. Thanks everybody for joining us today, and we'll stick around for a couple minutes if there's questions, but we'll let everybody get back to their day, and we'll send out this recording and the slides probably a little bit later this week, and appreciate y'all for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.